Hi, I'm Darren and welcome to New Factory Classics. And I thought it's been enough time to where I can finally break down all of the live action content that Disney has released since they've bought Star Wars. Frankly, I haven't seen all the animated releases, so really wouldn't be fair for me to rate them. So we're going to start at the beginning and work our way towards right now. The Force Awakens. 8 out of 10. I think that this movie is the best of the new trilogy. And you know why? Because it's basically just a rehash of A New Hope. A group of teens and 20-year-olds come together to stop a machine that can destroy planets, and that is also controlled by an evil man all dressed in black. Maybe you've heard this story before. Rogue One. 7 out of 10. This movie was the first Star Wars spin-off film, and frankly was actually pretty good in the end. To have a non-Skywalker focused film was actually a good change for Star Wars. Let's be honest though, without that Vader scene at the end, I'd probably drop the rating by a few points. The Last Jedi, 5 out of 10. What if Luke was an asshole? No, really. I'm sure this idea will go over really well with the fans. Also, it's probably not a good idea to have the middle movie of a trilogy directed by a different director. Stylistically, I hope that this doesn't cause them all to clash. Also, they killed Luke Skywalker at the end. What a fantastic flourish. Solo, a Star Wars story. 5 out of 10. This movie had like 3 directors and multiple rewrites. Overall, it was a crappy origin story to a legendary hero that Disney decided to stab through the chest about 3 years earlier. Also, that short Darth Maul reference was really confusing to anyone who hadn't seen the animated series. I guess it turns out that you can't explain the entire Star Wars crime syndicate in a 2-hour film. Who knew? The Mandalorian. 9 out of 10. The Mandalorian and the Child guided Disney Plus in its first few years of existence. By far the biggest source of happiness for Star Wars fans since Disney purchased the franchise. I would say Season 1 and 2 were basically perfect, all the way up till Luke and Grogu left for his training. Season 3 though was all over the place. It still was a decent show, I guess, but it just didn't have the Adventure of the Week vibe that the first 2 seasons had. The Rise of Skywalker. 3 out of 10. Somehow, Palpatine returned. Unfortunately, this iconic line will be attached to this film for all of history. By the time this movie was done, I realized how uninventive Disney was with this new trilogy. Everything just seemed to be a forced rehash of the original trilogy. And overall, they killed off all of our favorite heroes, and just left us with Rey. The Book of Boba Fett. 6 out of 10. The backstory of how Boba came back to life after Return of the Jedi, and a little bit of a redemption arc for the character as well. I feel like I like this show more than other people who watched it, because I really did find it fun at times. My biggest issue were the later episodes, when they forced to undo everything that happened at the end of Mandalorian Season 2 in a single episode. And then frankly after that, it just kind of became The Mandalorian again, and not the Book of Boba Fett. Obi-Wan Kenobi. 7 out of 10. It was exciting to see Obi-Wan again, and frankly seeing Hayden Christensen back in live action was awesome. That said, I feel like the entirety of this show was completely unneeded. It was a forced story that took place in an already cluttered part of the timeline. My 2 cents? They should have made a Cal Kestis show instead. Go ahead and hate me in the comments. Andor, 9 out of 10. I really liked the 3 episode arcs that this show had. While I never really cared about Andor when I watched Rogue One, this show actually fleshed out the character and made him really interesting. A lot of this show was so good it actually could have taken place in a non-Star Wars universe. Breaking and entering, rebellion, sabotage, all these sort of things can take place even on Earth itself. Season 1 was my favorite show that Disney has released for Star Wars, even more than Mando. I'm super pumped for Season 2 when it comes out next year, and I really hope Disney can stick the landing. Ahsoka. 5 out of 10. Look, I never watched the cartoons, so I was never invested in her or any of the other characters of this show. And frankly, I found her to actually be the least enjoyable character to watch on this show. On the other hand, Thrawn was awesome, and I'm looking forward to see him take over the galaxy. The Acolyte. 4 out of 10. What started out as a mystery on figuring out what happened all those years ago ended up devolving into how the Jedi were corrupt, self-serving, and frankly stupid. This show had the first Jedi Wookiee, and they decided to barely show him in any action. Also, why call it a High Republic show when you're just planning on connecting it up to the Skywalker timeline right at the end? Yoda, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and Darth Plagueis, this might as well have been called the prequel to the prequels. Skeleton Crew. While it's too early to actually rate the show, I will say that the first 2 episodes were pretty good. I could easily see giving the show an 8 out of 10 if it continues this pace. So there you have it, all my ratings for the live-action Disney movies and TV shows for the Star Wars universe. Do you agree with what I said? Let me know in the comments. Thank you. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please like, subscribe, and share. And while you're at it, leave a comment on my channel. I so desperately crave the acceptance of strangers online.